So hi everyone. We're super excited to be presenting this event with the Bay Area Science Festival today. My name is Harini, and today we'll be learning about variables, conditionals, loops, and basic animation. Using the basic principles and fundamentals of Python and PyGame, you'll be able to create and design your very own snow animation by the end of this workshop. Do you have any questions? Okay. So basically, what is Python? Python is a general purpose high-level OOP, or object-oriented programming language, that's used often and is relatively easy to learn, since it reads almost like English. There are also many Python-based frameworks like Flask and Jinja. Python is used in a huge variety of applications, from web and game development to machine learning, artificial intelligence, data science, and more. It's also used in many applications and services that you may use every day, like Google, YouTube, and Netflix. Specifically, PyGame is a set of Python modules that's designed to create simple games and animations in a way that's quick and efficient. So to start off, we're going to be creating our PyGame program using Trinket, which is an online place that you can just compile your code. I will put the link in the chat for anyone to click it. It's trinket.io. Yeah. And once you click that, you should end up on this page. So just let me know if everyone is here. Okay, so once you're on this page, you'll want to sign up for your free account, which you can click right here. If you already have an account, you can just log in using your account. That button is up here. But if you don't have an account, you're just going to enter an email, your own email or your parents' email, whatever you prefer, and then a password that you'll hopefully remember. So once you've given them an email and a password, you can sign up for your account. And if anyone needs me to slow down, just like let me know in chat or something. Okay. I think everyone should have been able to make an account right now, or I'll just wait another minute.
Sorry, I'm late. So what it says is we can get the IO and then make an account.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
Did I go to trinket.io?
Yes, you do. And then you can sign up for an account, or if you have one already, you could just log in. I think almost everyone is at this point. So then you're going to click the home page. And then right here, you can make a new trinket. We're going to be making a PyGame program, so you'll want to select this one here. So that's just going home page, new trinket, and PyGame. Which once you click it, it'll automatically create this trinket for you. And here's where you're going to be typing your program, and then you can run it here afterward. So is everyone at this point? Okay, cool. So the first thing we're going to be typing is hello world, and that's going to be using the print statement. Print is a built-in command that allows you to display information as text to your console. So we're just going to type that in right here. You do print, and then inside of your parentheses, you would put whatever you want to be printed. If you want to print text, you have to put that inside quotations. And then when you click run, you'll see down here that in the console it says hello world. So like this, you could print whatever words you wanted. That's just the most basic Python command. I think everyone is at this point also. What's the difference between PyGame and Python? So Python is the language in general, and then PyGame is a specific set of modules in Python that's going to allow you to make games. Can I zoom in? Yeah, sure. When I'm typing the code, I will make sure to zoom in, but for now, since we're on the slides. Another thing in Python is comments. Comments don't actually affect your program. They're just kind of notes that you can leave for yourself. You're mostly going to be using single line comments where you do a hashtag, and then you can type in a comment like this line. So this is just like a note for yourself. When you're looking over your program, you can see what the lines below it does because you wrote this. And when you run the program, you'll see that typing this comment didn't make any difference to what the program actually does. And I can zoom in if anyone wants to see this better. So now that we did print statements and comments, we're going to talk about variables. So you can think of a variable sort of like a box inside which you can store things, and you can also give it names. Specifically in Python, you're going to be using variables as a box in which you can store values. There's 4 types of values that you can store. There's an int, which is this number here. It's just an integer. So like -5, 10, 100. There's also strings. Strings are kind of like words. They can also be numbers, but strings are always enclosed in quotations. It's kind of like a sentence. There's also floats. A float is essentially a decimal, like 4.5 right here. And the last one are booleans. Booleans are a little weird. Correct equals false. This is a boolean because a boolean stores a true or false value. You can think of it like a switch, where on would mean true and off would mean false. And the cool thing about variables is that you can give them names. You can store here, you can store 10 in number. You can store hello in word. And then you can also print variables, which we can try out here. For example, I'm going to make my variable number and equal 5. Have a word, it's going to equal hi. And then you can also print number, word. What you see happening here is instead of printing number, it prints the value that you've given number, which is 5. And here it prints the value that you gave word, which is hi. Anyone need me to slow down? After variables, we have, oh, my slides are loading. Now that we know how to store things, you can also give your program logic. And to give it logic, you can use if and else statements. The way these work is you kind of tell the computer if something is true or something is false, then you do a specific set of things. Otherwise, you do this. So as you can see here, we created a variable, which we just learned about, and the variable is equal to the word yes, the string yes, because it's in quotes. Now, if answer is yes, then you're going to print yay. Else, you're going to print aw in the sad face. Another thing to keep in mind is if you want to check if something is equal, you need to use double equal signs. That's going to compare these values. If you want to give a variable a value, you only use one equal sign. Something to keep in mind about your if and else statements are the indents. As you can see, if you want something to happen only if a condition is true, you have to put it in an indent underneath that if statement. Oh, I accidentally clicked. And the same thing goes for your else. If you don't indent it, it's not going to happen. Also make sure that you're not typing in capitals or lowercase when you're not supposed to. Oh, looks like there's some questions. Oh, all right. We're just going to type this in and see how it works now. I'm going to make answer, which is yes. And our else statement. You guys can type this in as well, and you'll see that when you run it, it's going to print yay because answer is indeed equal to yes. Now, if you were to change the value of answer, let's say set it equal to no, and you run the program again, what happens is it prints all because answer is not equal to yes, it does whatever is underneath else. Everyone good to this point?
Mine says error.
Okay, so if you added like if you missed the lowercase or uppercase or you didn't indent properly, you would be getting an error. So just make sure you typed it in exactly like this and it should be working. All right, I think it is working now, or if it's not, it's right here. Okay, so let's say that you want to run some line of code multiple times. For example, for some reason, you want to print hello 5 times. So instead of saying print hello over and over, instead of that, you could use a for loop or a while loop. So that's the purpose of loops. It just does the same thing over and over again for how many times you want it. Now the way
Not working.
it's still not working?
Yeah.
Let's see. I will put this in the chat and then you can try copy pasting it. I think it will keep it like it should be.
Wait.
Okay, cool. So we were talking about this for loop right here. And the way that it works is, so the way it works is you can do it 5 times by putting in range 0 to 5, and that makes sure that it happens 5 times. As an example, You'll see that it's working here. If you wanted it to print more times, you could put in the number like 30. And you'll see there's 30 hellos here. The second type of loop that we have are while loops. So here's an example of a while loop. The way that it works is you have a number equal to 0, and as long as the number is less than 5, it's going to print hello and also increase the value of number. The while loops in Python and PyGame are a little bit different. In PyGame, you're going to want to use an infinite loop. That makes sure that your game is running as long as your program is open. To create an infinite loop, you could do something like while true, print. I don't recommend that you run this because it's just going to keep printing hello until you stop the program. But in the context of PyGame, this is actually very helpful, and we'll see that later when we're making our animation. Okay. I think this is the last thing that we're going to be covering before starting writing our animation. So this is the PyGame coordinate system. I'm not sure how far all of you have gotten in math, but in math you may have learned of the coordinate grid, the one that's like this, 2 lines. It's a little bit different in PyGame. There's only this X line and Y. So the X-axis is going to decide where your position is horizontally on your window. And the Y-axis is going to be for the vertical position. When this is your PyGame window, up here is going to be 0, 0. This end is going to be 200 for your width of your program or your window, and this is going to be 200. This point right here is 100 horizontally and 50 vertically. So you'll notice that the X points increase as you go to the, to the right, and Y is going to increase as you go down. Can I go back to the previous slide? Okay. Did you have a question about the slide? Or did you just want to copy it down? I'm not sure. Yeah, I think if everyone got it now. Okay, we'll get back to the coordinate system here, which I will just review. You can set your window to be whatever size that you wanted. You could have a 300 by 300. This one is 200 and 200. And if you wanted to point up here, that would be 200 for the X, 0 for the Y. If you wanted it down here, that would be 0 for the X and 200 for the Y. So again, the first coordinate is going to decide where it is horizontally. And the second coordinate is going to decide where it is vertically. Can you have a full screen window? Yes, I'm not sure what size your screen is exactly, but you would be able to make one. Not in Trinket though. So in Trinket, there's going to be like a max size, and at one point it just won't get any larger. Okay, so I'm just going to wait here for a little bit for some questions, and after that we can start writing the actual animation. How do you make it move by arrow keys? I'm not sure what you mean by making it move by arrow keys. How do you do the infinite loop? We will be making an infinite loop again during our animation, so we'll get to that again and I'll explain it. When you press left arrow. There is not a dictionary of all the coding language in Trinket, but if you're looking for Python documentations, I will share a link for that at the end of this. Okay, so I think since everyone has caught up to this point, or almost everyone. Oh, how to make objects move on the screen. There is syntax for that, but we're not covering that in this specific workshop. Okay, so this is the end product of our code, and I will just run an example right now of how it will look when we're all done. So this is going to be our end product. So to start off, as I mentioned earlier, PyGame is a set of modules within Python. So in order to use it, you're first going to have to import it. And that's really easy. That's just import PyGame, 2 words. We're also going to want random snowflakes. So we're going to need to import random. Random is another set of modules that allows you to choose random numbers and things. Okay, I will show the animation again later. Once you've imported both of them, you'll want to initialize your PyGame. So that's pygame.init, just like this. And I'm going to put these in the chat. So if you want to copy paste them, go ahead. Now that we have that set up, we need to actually make our window. So our window is going to need a width, which we'll make 800 for now. It's going to need a height, so we're going to make that 800 as well. This way we can have a nice square window. And we're going to call it display. To create it, you do pygame dot So what this does here is it creates a display with a width and height that you gave it, and it puts it in this variable right here. So I will put this in chat also. So here you set up your PyGame, here you're setting up your window. And you also want to give it a name. So to do that, it's pygame.display.setCaption. And I'll just call it Snowfall, but you can name it whatever you want. You just have to put that within here. And then the next one, we're going to make a variable which is called true. We'll use this one later, but for now, just make sure that it's there. What kind of measurement does the height and width use? Yeah, it uses pixels. So after you've made your window, you've named your window, you've created run, we're also going to create a clock. The clock is just something that PyGame uses to control time and when it displays screens.
नेक्स्ट का ये लिख ले.
Okay, just make sure you're muted if you don't have a question. This line right here is going to create a clock. Yeah, we will be sending the slides in an email. And just let me know when it's okay for me to move on, or if you want more clarification about one of these lines. Just putting this into the chat if it's taking too long to type. Okay, let's not spam the chat. The clock basically works by controlling your frames per second, and just make sure that your screen isn't updating too fast or too slow. Is everyone good to this point? Alrighty. Okay, cool. So now that we just got that stuff out of the way, we need to give our snowflake some properties. Our snow is going to need a speed at which it's going to fall. For now, we'll make the speed 10. And we're going to need a number of snowflakes. Let's make 300 snowflakes. And also a size. So this will just be like 8 little pixels for each snowflake on the screen, which I'm putting in chat. Do you mean the link to Trinket.io? Okay, cool. The next thing is some colors, because your snowflakes need a color. The way color works in PyGame is it takes an R, G, and a V value, where it takes red, green, and blue, and then mixes all of those together to create a color. For each R, G, and V value, it's going to take a number from 0 to 255. So make sure that your number isn't greater than 255 or negative, because then you will get an error. The color for white is 255 for all three. And this way you can have white snow. And then our background also needs a color. There is this combination that makes a nice sky blue. Yeah, I will put these in chat. So now you have a snow color and you also have a color for your background. Okay, so while you guys type that in, I'll just explain the next part. So the way that our snowflakes are going to work is we're going to have a position for each snowflake, and that position is going to represent each of your virtual snowflakes. And we're going to have 300 of those positions all in a big list. For now, we're going to call that list snowflakes and just put it like this. This allows you to store multiple values in one thing. And this will seem kind of random right now. It's FPS equals 30. That's going to be your frames per second, and that's going to be used for your clock. Just make sure you have that. It's also in the chat. So for this part, instead of assigning each of your 300 snowflakes a specific set of numbers for an x and y value, you can instead use a for loop and also random assignment to create 300 random xy positions for each of them. So to do that, you're going to do for snow position in range 0, snow num, where the value of snow num, as you can see here, is 300. So that means this loop is going to run 300 times. And now we have to create a random x position, which is going to place it horizontally. And you want it to go from 0 to your width. This makes sure that your snowflake is either at this end of the screen or at the other end and not off of the screen. All right. I think everyone's at this point also. Now that you've given it a horizontal position, do not run it now because you're going to get an error. It's not completed yet. Okay, so now that you've given it a horizontal position, you also need to give your snowflake a vertical position, which is up and down. So we're going to create a random y value for it, which can be anywhere from 0 to the height, keeping it inside your display. And now that you have a random x and a random y, you need to add that into snowflakes. To do that, you do snowflakes.append x, y, just like this. So now with just these 4 lines, you've made 300 random snowflake positions, and you put them all in here. Does anyone have questions about this part? Append is how you're going to add your x and y coordinates to snowflakes. Yeah, adds it to the end of this list of snowflakes, and that way you'll have all 300 positions. Okay, so I think no one has questions about this part, which means we can move on to the next bit, which I'll just start off by explaining. Now we're going to get to our actual game loop. So the way things work here in this animation is you want a certain set of things to repeat infinitely as long as your program is running. That would be the parts that actually create your snowflake and then move your snowflake. To do that, we're going to use that infinite loop that I was talking about. We're going to have while run is equal to true. This makes sure that you're comparing the value of run to true. If that is happening, then everything inside it has to run. And you can add a comment here saying that this is your animation loop here. And then make sure you're indenting one time. Everything that's indented is going to happen infinitely while your program is running. The next 3 lines I'm just going to type out because they're just syntax things to make sure that PyGame knows when you want to close your window. So what this does is if you want to quit, then it sets run equal to false. And if run is equal to false, then this condition is also false, and that means your while loop stops running, your animation stops happening. And I also put that in the chat. Again, make sure you're getting your indentations correct, or you'll run into some errors. Any questions at this point? Okay, so now that we have set up our animation loop and how to stop it, we have to actually use our background colors on our background. To do that, you will fill your display essentially with the background color, where the background color is the variable that's equal to this blue. And just this line. If you were to run the program at this point, assuming you typed everything correctly, you'll just have this. And the reason that it's not blue, I'll explain later. Oh, that's supposed to go to everyone. Okay. So now I'll explain some logistics of our Snowflake. The actual animation is going to function by drawing your snowflake at the position that it should be at, and then having it fall. And once it falls below the screen where you can't see anymore, you want to reset it to the top of the screen so it can fall again. Yeah, we'll be emailing this recording to everyone. So like I was saying, we're just going to create the snowflake, it's going to fall all the way down, and then you're going to reset it back to the top so it can fall again. And to do that, you're going to use a for loop and also if statements. Oh, it's not allowing you guys to copy paste. Okay. Oh, can none of you copy paste from the chat?
You can't copy paste in Zoom, sadly.
Then I will just like wait a little bit for you guys to type this up, maybe. Do you want like 2 minutes? Okay, I'll just help you guys with the errors that you're having. So anonymous person, make sure that you capitalize T in true.
So even having some small spelling error or having some capital letter where you're not supposed to can give you an error.
And Blake, you're gonna want to use, instead of snowflakes, it should be snow num. Line 8, what's that caption? You might have forgotten to add double parentheses at the end of line 7, so make sure you have that. Some of them might take some time to run, it depends on your internet maybe. Yeah, at this point, you're still gonna have a black screen if you run it. Okay, I think I'll just wait another minute for everyone to get theirs to work to this point. The screen is black because we have not yet actually updated the display, so we'll get to that pretty soon. An error on line 8. You need to make sure that you're typing in 7 and 8 exactly the same way that it is here. An error on line 27. You may have forgotten either a double equal Yeah, so as long as it looks exactly like this one here, you should not be having errors. So if you are having errors, then there's something that's different. Anna, I'm not sure why you're having that error. Did you maybe forget to do pygame.init or one of the earlier lines? All right, I'm gonna move to the next part now because a lot of people did manage to get theirs working, and we will be sending out a recording, so you could always get it to work afterward. And it's gonna be here, so you can keep typing it to look like this. For this part, you're making your for loop with each snow position in snowflakes. You're just gonna loop through snowflakes and take each snow position And you only want the y value because that's the one that's going to move it vertically. To get only the y value, you need to do square brackets and a 1. And set that equal to itself plus your speed. So let's say you have a hypothetical snowflake and its y value is 0. That means it'll be at the top of your window. And every time you add speed, it'll go 0, 10, 20, 30, all the way down. And that's how you're going to get them to fall. Now, after you get them to fall, you need to actually draw it, because right now it's just a position. You can't actually see anything. To do that, you do pygame.draw.circle. You draw the circle on the display with the snow color, at the snow position with the snow size. This line right here will actually make your snowflake. Okay, so once you've moved it and made it, now comes the part where you need to check when it falls below the line and reset it. Can I put the new lines in chat? Yes, I can. I think it's only letting some people copy paste maybe. Now, if your y value is greater than the height, that means it's gone off of the screen. And you want to reset it to some point that's above the top of the screen. That would mean if the top is 0, you want it somewhere like -50 to -5. A random number in that range. And you also want to give it a new horizontal value to place it at some other random point. That's going to be anywhere from 0 to the width. This is the part that moves your snowflakes, and then there's only 2 lines left, which I will just quickly type down, and if you're having trouble, you can keep copying because it's still going to be here. This line is incredibly important. You're telling PyGame to update its display, so otherwise it's not going to show you every time it resets and refreshes. It actually shows you what's moved and changed. Like that. And underneath, you want to make your clock start ticking. That's just going to set the time and make sure everything is working and moving properly. And now if you were to run it and you had everything up until this point, you'll see the random snowflakes falling, all 300 of them. And when they fall to the bottom, you'll notice that they fall randomly somewhere from the beginning again. It looks like some people can copy paste, so I will just put this whole thing in there. Whoever can. If yours is working, you can customize it however you want to. So you can make your snow slower, larger, You could make it different colors, like green.
Wait, you just need
And
to
I,
compose to continue.
okay, so I guess we can like help you guys with edits for the next 2 minutes, and then I'll wrap this up and share you some links for further resources. Can I scroll down a bit? Okay. Yes, this should work on any other Python platform. So if you have Python downloaded or you want to use another editor, yeah, it'll work. Just make sure that sometimes if you copy paste it, your indents might get messed up. So just pay attention to that. Alrighty, since we have 2 minutes left, I'm just gonna start wrapping this up. If you weren't able to finish typing this, that's okay because we are sending out a recording in the email and also a link to the slides. And so the whole program is here as well. You can take your time to type it out correctly, mess around with it afterward. Can I show the bottom words right here? Yeah, this will be sent to you. So thank you.
PY for you.
Yeah, thank you.
So she's
Okay. Yeah, thank you everyone for coming. Before you go, we do want to share a few links with you. So if you haven't signed up for our COVID-19 data analysis workshop, which is happening on Sunday, please be sure to do so. I believe it's happening Sunday from 3 to 4 p.m. I'll have to check on that though. Let me send you the link to register. With that link, you'll have the Zoom invite to join our workshop. So if you're interested in more workshops, we're having our ongoing TeenTechSF Fall Workshop Series happening weekly on Saturdays from 2 to 3 p.m. Pacific. And so I will send you that link. We have an exciting workshop on prototyping and design. Harini just shared the information. So thank you, Harini. And lastly, if you want to join our leadership team, we're a nonprofit organization run for and by teens here at TeenTechSF. We have a finance team, communications team, and STEM workshop team. And our next planning meeting is this Saturday. So if you're interested in joining our team, please fill out that form. And if you have any questions, feel free to stay behind, regardless if they're about this workshop or about TeenTechSF. I already see someone raising, I saw someone raising their hand just now. Blanca, do you have a question?
Can you give me the recording of it and the thing that we did?
Yeah, you'll
Sure.
be getting an email with the recording and I think a link to the slides as well. So
Yep. Yeah, one thing, Blanca, if you register through TeenTechSF in our Eventbrite page, you will get what Harini said. But if you did not, just private message me your email so that way we can send you everything.
oh yeah, basically anyone who did not register through our Eventbrite and you want these recordings and stuff, you can send your email in the chat.
Can you give me the recording at least or the writing?
Yeah, so could you provide me your email? And then that way we can send it to you.
Yeah,
You can send that privately. Yeah, thank you everyone for coming.
Thanks everyone for coming to the Bay Area Science Festival. Harini, I think you did a fantastic job. Thanks so much for sharing with this group of, I think at one point you had 50 people on, so I think you did a great job. So if anyone has more questions for Harini and Brian, please unmute and ask those questions. If you didn't already email them, I'm sure on the TeenTech SF website, you could also probably send your email and say that you were part of this session, and then they'll be able to send you the video. I think the video probably won't be posted until early next week, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday. So there is actually the email address that Harini put in for you. So thanks and have a great night.